When I first read If by Rudyard Kipling, I could relate a lot to it. Though this poem is meant to represent a boy venturing into manhood, for me it represents maturity and growth through the struggles we face in life. When I read this poem, 3 places came to mind. The first stanza says, "If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or be lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise." This made me think of my backyard and how that's where I go when I face tough times, whether it's sitting in the sun and reading a book or lying in my hammock and just listening to the birds. Being in my backyard helps me cope with the various struggles I face in life. In the spring, when it's nice outside, I'll sometimes do my homework and study out here, or even sometimes watch Netflix so I'm not always in my room. In the summer, my dad brings out the barbecue, and this is when I enjoy some time with family and friends. My brother and I will play soccer on the lawn and sometimes have water balloon fights. I believe that we all need a place to escape reality for a while, especially, as the poem states, when we're being blamed, doubted, lied about, or being hated. Overall, my backyard is where I keep my head, as the poem says, and relax for a while with everything going on in my life. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, and treat those 2 impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. I chose my room to represent the second stanza. It's where I spend most of my time when I'm not at school, doing homework, listening to music, or sleeping, because I love to sleep. In the first line, when the author says, "If you can dream and not make dreams your master," he means that on one hand, it's great to dream and think about things, but on the other, sometimes dreams can get a little carried away and you have to focus on the matters at hand. I can relate to this to when I'm studying for a test and instead of my mind takes me to other places like the beach and I begin to procrastinate. By focusing too much on my thoughts and dreams, by making them my aim instead of studying, I am jeopardizing my grade. The author isn't saying you shouldn't daydream. He is reminding the listener that practical matters must also be dealt with. The end result of obsessing over those other things can have a lot of negative consequences. The speaker also talks about the personified version of triumph and disaster. If we can manage to meet both success, triumph, and misfortune, disaster, and act the same way in each case, or treat those 2 impostors just the same, I interpret it as a sign of growth and maturity. Both success and failure are misleading. Neither one lasts forever. Success inevitably fades, and disasters always work themselves out. They are both imposters because they are both short-lived. In my room is where some tough decisions are made, such as what my studying should be focused on with the amount of time I have, and sometimes this can lead to either success or disappointment. The point of the author is trying to make is that one shouldn't get overly excited about success or overly upset about disappointment. In the last part of this stanza, the author tells us that if we can bear to see the truths we spoken misinterpreted, twisted by knaves, if we can watch everything we've ever dedicated ourselves to shattered and yet still manage to pick up the pieces, then we will grow. I go to my room when I need to cope with things like these because there will always be people that want to twist your truth, and sometimes you have to build back up things that you gave your life to. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve you your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. This first half of the stanza is clearly talking about money and gambling, but I can relate it more to playing sports, in particular soccer. That's why I chose Gates Park for my third setting. In sports, you take chances and gamble a little, but in the end, it's just a game. When you win a game, you should have good sportsmanship and you shouldn't gloat. When you lose, you don't whine and complain. You should be strong about it and try again. The second half of the stanza talks about how you can force your body to keep pushing further even when it is worn out and tired. I strongly relate to this to playing soccer and how sometimes I'm in so much pain and need a break, but I keep pushing and trying my hardest. Overall, the point of the author is trying to get across in the third stanza is that no matter how broken down you are, you need to keep striving and fighting on.